Hello, welcome to Sound Leader, a podcast about people leading the way and doing things differently in the music industry. Can leadership be learned? I personally think so. So, if you want to hear more about leading in the music industry, tune in. Okay, so today we're going to discuss leading once you see a gap in the market. Controversial opinion, but an artist manager is only needed or can only be needed at a certain breaking point in an artist's career. But how can artists and musicians get the right guidance and insight in a very consuming and overwhelming industry? This is how Charlotte, my guest, created Ellevate Management, a resource platform in virtual artist management. So Charlotte, so nice to have you. It's a very hot day in London today.
It is.
We're baking, but we love it. We love the good weather. So I want to hear about that aha moment when you knew there was this gap in the market to create Ellevate Management, and like, where did that come from? Was there like a moment, or was it like a slow build?
I wish it was a moment. It would have saved me a lot of money. So my journey, I studied law and then decided to be very disappointing to my dad, and I'm still doing that to this day. It's one of my crowning glories in life. Wanted to work in music, and the first job I ever got was just in management, just so happened to be that's the job I got. And I've been in management ever since. That's like 13 years ago. I've been in it in various iterations, like working for companies, working for myself, like all these different versions. And then when I had my son, I wanted to rethink what I was doing. Management is very labour intensive, especially when you're working with like early stage acts, like you're on the road, you're lugging equipment here and there, you're like really, or like the way I manage anyway, like I was very in the trenches with my artists. So I was like, okay, well, I've got a little baby now, I can't really do that. At that time I was managing on the side, and I was also working as director of BI, data and channel optimization at AWOL.
So that wasn't even your like full-time
no,
job?
I was managing.
Whoa.
I had been managing full-time,
Yeah.
but then I had gone and had an opportunity to go and work for AWOL, and it was a really great opportunity, and I really loved that job. It was really fun and got to do a lot of really cool stuff. So, but when I had my son, it was announced that AWOL was going to be acquired by Sony, so this is a really long story. So when I came back from maternity leave, it kind of became apparent within about a year that I was probably going to get made redundant, because operationally it was going to be pulled into Sony and all of that kind of stuff. So, you know, fine. So I just started thinking about like what my next phase of life was going to be. And myself and an artist that I've been managing for 10 years, Tala, we wanted to do something together. We wanted to have like a joint baby. And we played around with some ideas, and the first idea was something in the superfan space, and it also had like Web3 elements to it. And we actually I spent a lot of my redundancy money on that, a lot of time building something, and I still think it's a good idea, and there are a lot of people in the marketplace building something very similar, so it wasn't an entirely unique idea, but I think a lot of people are having a similar idea. And we ended up working on it for about 18 months, put a lot of money and time into it, and I just saw no way for us to bring it to market. There was just no way. Like, we needed capital, like we really needed, like I just didn't know how to do it. But what had happened during that time was I had interviewed artists like every week, like multiple earlier stage artists, every week, finding out what their pain points were, like what you're struggling with, what's the wins, what's the things you're proudest of, like all of those things. And then actually turned it into like an interview series that we've like published in our newsletter. And the repeated problem that kept coming back was, I'm doing this alone and I don't know how to move forward. Like, everyone would kind of like get started, and at some point, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, they would reach a blocker and they would be like, I don't know how to move forward. I don't know how to get over this hump. So that kind of information was just sort of like ruminating there. So that, like I said, there's no aha moment really. It was a really long percolation. Then towards the end of 2023, I was just like, with 11, the previous project, I was like, I just cannot do this anymore. Like, it was making me feel really ill, and I just was this is not for me. So we kind of decided to bury it and put it to sleep at the end of 2023. Came back in the new year with the team, and I was like, I don't care what we do now, whatever we do next, like, I'm broke as hell. And whatever we do next, it needs to make money like immediately. Like we have to be able to get it out. It's got to cost nothing to make, and we need to do it, and it's got to happen. And then we literally, I don't even know where it even came from. We're like, I think these early stage artists need help. They need help from people. There's so much AI stuff happening, and there's loads of stuff that people are trying to automate, but like, they need help from humans that are actively working in the music industry right now. What if we could pair artists with people that are like managers or experienced people in the industry, and they could coach them, and we pair them, and we build a platform based around that. And so literally, like the aha moment, I guess it just came from like one phone call with like myself, Tala, real name Jasmine, and Rafe, who's our other co-founder, in a conversation, and then we just built it, and we just did it in like a week, and we kicked it out of the nest like immediately, tested it with like 70 artists, and then like it was live within a month. It was out to market, and people were paying us money for it within a month. So like, yeah, it wasn't like an aha moment in terms of like, it took a long while for us to get to like where like the realization of what it was, but when we decided to do it, we did it. It was like done.
I love that story. It's so different of like, you had this idea first of all, and a lot of the time, you know, ideas can fail in many different ways. A lot of that is actually capital and investment. And like, if you've got the right time to invest, albeit you might have a fantastic idea. But what's amazing is you actually did the research, and the research itself is actually what's grounded you.
It formed our decision. Like, I think so many people come into I think in any industry, but obviously I'm seeing it from the music industry. I think a lot of people, like, especially come from outside the music industry or have worked in a particular corner of the industry, and they think they've got the solution to like all the ills of the industry, but without, I think so few people actually ask artists, like talk to artists. Like the artists are like the core of this industry. If we don't have artists, we don't have jobs anymore. And just so many products I come across, I feel like I really doubt you've ever spoken to like more than like the artist. Maybe you've spoken to a few artists in your immediate circle that are just sort of validating your idea. Like, speak to a broad variety of artists across a broad variety of genres and broad variety of stages. And like with Ellevate, we've got artists that are like putting out their first ever release, and they just want to do it well, and they want to know the ropes, and they want to understand like royalties, and they want to understand all that stuff, all the way through to, we've got artists on Ellevate that are like, you know, literally we've got an artist tomorrow, she's going on a North American tour, she's touring all summer, she's then she's just signed with Wasserman for Europe, and she's got a big European tour coming up in November. And then she's going out to Asia. Like, she's a really active like artist. And or, you know, an artist that was signed to a major, and she's like navigating exiting that deal. Like, there's so many different artists at different levels we're talking to and understanding their pain points all the time. So artists are a really active part of how we build. We want their feedback constantly.
And it's incredibly overwhelming. I don't work in the artist management side, just the live side. And like, sometimes I'm like, I wouldn't actually know where to start. I think also with artists, it's like, that's their work, that's their life. I don't think you realise we're all absolutely there to support them and the fans that they want to make and connect with. But like, the amount of time and effort going into expressing themselves or what they want to say, it's really like vulnerable. And then like having to go into the business side sometimes, that can be really daunting when they're also trying to manage.
I think that. Like, one of the, like, on the business side, that was something that I feel really passionately about, that all artists should understand the business. Because like, one of the first artists I ever worked with, literally the first artist I ever managed was Tricky, like 90s trip hop legend. Incredible artist, like, love him so much, like, really challenging artist to work with, but like, adore him. And like, he was just a total like child of like the 90s music industry, where like you signed deals and everyone told you where to be, everyone told you what to do, and you never really understood your business. And I think that like, if you're not, you know, like, he came from like Bristol, from like a family that was like quite challenging. Like, he didn't have anyone, like, he wasn't a private school kid that had like a dad that was going to help him navigate his like retirement fund or whatever. He was just like a normal person. And if you don't have someone like helping you understand the business, understand like future planning, understanding where this is going to go in like 40 years time, like how you're going to actually retire, or like you don't have to rely on like releasing music constantly, then you end up like really screwed. And so for me, like, I saw him and like witnessed like this incredibly talented person that like there wasn't really Horst, to be fair, at K7 was really trying to help him, who was my boss, like really trying to help him like have that future planning. But up until then, like it had been really challenging for him. And so I really want to make sure that like we've got like a generation of really savvy artists, especially when labels are investing so much later. And so artists are building their own businesses from scratch, and they really are getting it to a point where they actually don't really need labels unless they really want to go global and they want to, you know, there's so much debate about that. But then if they want to do that, they need to be in charge of the business. So understanding the business side, really, really important. Like getting those key skills down. Like, okay, obviously as you get more successful, you build in more team members and you know, you navigate that. And then on the like relationship side, like I know that there's a lot of tooling being built with AI, and there's a lot of like automation in terms of artist tooling happening, and I think there's a total place for that. There's more artists than we need in the world. Like you know, I can record something on my phone and release it, you know, within 48 hours, like, and no one needs that in their lives. So there is a place for this tooling, and I see the business proposition there, and we do have a cheaper product that we're developing that kind of serves that market. But nothing beats the relationship between two humans, like problem solving together or coming up with creative ideas. Like I literally just came from a meeting with Tala. We were with a company that we're working on a project with, and we're like in the meeting and we're coming up with ideas and like, oh, we could do this and oh, we could do that. And we're coming up with all these like amazing creative things and possibilities and boundaries he could push, and like, you know, working with like Indian classical music and like working it through electronic, you know, like we're doing all these really cool like out of the box stuff. And like that, you cannot have that like vibey, like, you know, like everyone pinging off each other like with a chat bot. Like you can't do that. And so that's why as much as like AI will be a part of it, like AI is a part of every single company. Like AI is going to become like having email, you know, like we all just have it. And so it will of course help us scale and provide a more like economically, like, you know, a cheaper version for like artists at every level. But I really believe in like a one-to-one product, because I really believe in like the skill set of managers and like marketers and experienced music professionals, and the ones that want to nurture and develop early stage artists and their ability to like get the best out of artists.
So how does Ellevate lead in that? I think with artists, they need to make sure they understand the business, but also have time to be creative or actually nurture that creative.
Yeah.
So could you go into a little bit more of like how Ellevate like leads in that and what you're trying to achieve for the business and all the artists that you're working with?
For example, like an artist that I think it's like really managers using their better judgment to get the best creativity out of artists. And so for me, we're not like, there are a lot of like social media like companies that like are telling artists that you need to like generate like 5 TikToks a day and whatever, and there's like a real formula to how they do it. I don't believe that works for every artist. I think that TikTok is an incredible tool. Yes. I think that, you know, you know, we use it. You know, a lot of our clients come from there. But it's not for every artist. Like Celine, this artist that's actively touring North America, she only has Instagram. She doesn't use TikTok at all.
Wow.
Not like literally doesn't want it, and it's all building on Instagram and YouTube, and then, you know, there's just some artists it's not suited for, and so like coming with like a formulaic thing of like you must create TikToks every day, like it doesn't work unless it makes sense in the project, otherwise it just doesn't connect. And like an artist that I sort of met yesterday, I did a consult with her. You know, she's like trying to build up her TikTok and everything. And I was like, you don't even know who you are as an artist yet. You need to like go back to basics. Maybe like you need to go and travel. You need to go and read. You need to go and consume art. You need to go and live some life. You need to figure out like who you are as an artist and what makes this project distinct. And that I am really, really adamant with every Ellevate artist is like, what makes this artist distinct?
Yeah. It's the authenticity.
It's the authenticity. Like you can USP, artist brand, whatever it is. Like I'm in the business of making artists. I don't want to generate like just churn out music. And so that's really like one of the core underlying principles. And so whenever we're like bringing in new coaches, managers to work with our artists, like those are like we have like core values. And so we don't...
What are your core values? Because I think that's important.
Our core values
how you lead the
in
artist.
like longevity in an artist's career. So always thinking about what we're doing today, but what the artist is going to be doing in 10, 20 years time, how we get to that point. The mental health and well-being of the artist, that doesn't mean like, yes, we believe in consistency. I believe that consistency in posting on socials is really important, but making sure that like you're like respectful of what the artist is going through personally. I've got an artist at the moment, she's going through like a rocky patch in her relationship, and we have to be really respectful of that, and we have to work around that. And yeah, our core underlying principles is making sure that artists have a really good understanding of the business side of the industry, that they know what their rights are, like have a really core understanding of the mechanics of royalties and copyright and all those fundamentals, and building revenue streams. Everything has to go to revenue streams. It's like so amazing, like how overlooked that is. It's like, earn money. How is this artist going to earn money? Like that is really core. And it's like I met with this like social media company, they're helping artists do TikTok and all of that, and their approach is like recreating like viral content but for the artist, so it like fits like taking like viral content as a template and a reference and then making
it's like meta on top of meta on top of meta.
And I'm like, and then they get really arsey with me because I question, okay, like, well, how do we convert that to like newsletter sign-ups, and how do we convert that to ticket sales? Like, can you show me some examples of artists that you've worked with?
Virality should lead to something.
Yes, what's the point?
The
it has to. It, like, virality is just nothing. Like, my mum's I use this example all the time. I haven't used it in a while actually, but my mum has an equestrian clothing business. We're horsey, so niche. And I run her TikTok for her business. And we posted a video of our horses mucking about on the horse book, like doing something funny.
Did you go viral?
Yeah, it went viral. It's got millions of views. It went nuts. Loads of comments, reshares, everything. I can tell you not one sale was made off the back of that.
Wow.
Like, not one sale. And so it's like, yeah, you can go viral. Like, I can, I mean, it depends what your definition of viral is. But, like, you can go viral. I think going viral is pretty unpredictable personally. But, like, what does that mean? Like, what does that convert to? And so, and like, every artist, I believe there are different ways to create revenue streams. I think we really I always tell artists, is like, let's look at your skill set and how can we monetize your skill set? And that's different for every artist. So, yeah, like, that's a core principle of Ellevate, is like, how is this artist going to make money?
So, you reference there's different ways for an artist to make money. So I want to dig into with Ellevate how your principle is it's not just one manager that you can call up all the time. It's like you've almost got a toolbox or wealth of people that you can connect with as part of your subscription to go, I need coaching with this, I need help with that, I need advice with that. So it's not like a one manager who does everything. It's more like
how it works is they get paired with their core manager.
Right, okay.
So they have one person that they meet up with each month, but we assign that based on their needs. So we match them. So we take what they input into us. So when we onboard them, we learn what they need, what they're weakest at, what they're strongest at, and then we match them with a manager that complements that.
Yes.
And then they have access to a whole suite of centralized resources when it comes to like sync, newsletter creation. Like, there's this whole other like suite of services and like time they can book and support they can access that's more like specific to areas of the industry. So you have your person that you build your relationship with. Like, some artists we've now been working with for over a year. The consistency in that has been amazing. Like, I coach some of them. The relationships I have with them are amazing. And we've done, with Celine in Canada. Like, I've been working with her for a year now. Like, a year ago, we wrote down on our like list of goals, like wanted to open for Yusuf Days, wanted to sign with Wasserman, wanted to work with Coco Roco. All three of those things are happening. We're like, oh my God. I'm so good. Such a good manager. And then, other artists like similar that have been working with us a long time have had that success. So you have your point person that you build that relationship with and all of that kind of stuff. But then you have these centralized resources where you're getting access to experts in particular areas that you want to do.
As a leader, I mean, you spoke about it earlier. If you invested a lot of time and money, which are equally as important, into a project that didn't materialized and didn't work out.
Years.
Now, you can probably talk about it now and be like, well, yeah, great. Like, I've moved on to something else. And like, that actually was a plus and a positive because now I've actually found the gap in the market from doing the research. But between that time, I often call it like the messy middle, or like that gap in between where you are meant to be. Like, how did you kind of lead through that? As like,
I mean, we're in it right now as well. Like, I can talk about how like great Ellevate is, but like, we're not rich. It's hard right now. It's like, every time I meet anyone that's like, that I know from the industry that maybe I haven't seen for a while, they're like, oh my God, you guys are doing so well. It looks so good. Because like, I'm actively posting on LinkedIn and I'm appearing at loads of conferences and I'm doing panels and people see my TikToks and like people in the industry get served my TikToks quite a lot.
You've gone viral in the business space.
It really freaks me out because people like someone on the tube the other day, she like messaged me. She's like, I saw you on the tube and I didn't want it. And I was like the Great Escape getting my like lanyard, and the guy that was giving it me, he was like, are you Ellevate from TikTok? I was like, oh my God. Like, oh God, I feel so seen. And like friends and stuff like have seen it. And like, it's so like, because I don't really think that other people can. I just do it from my kitchen and I don't really think that other people that I know see it, so it's weird. But it looks all lovely and shiny, but it's hard as hell. And going through 11, the previous project, like making decisions every single day to put the best foot forward of like, this is really hard and this is harder than we thought. Like when I first started, I thought like, we'll just raise money. Like, everyone tells me, like, you just raise money. You make a pitch deck and you go out and you raise money. It was really hard. Didn't raise money. Like, barely got in the door of anyone with that project. And, like, every day you're kind of making the decision of, like, do we plow on and invest more time and money?
Law of diminishing returns. Or
is it like exactly. Like, the law of diminishing returns. And it was like, do we keep doing it? And one of the like greatest things that I learned were like we had a fractional CMO at the time, so she worked with us each month and she's like phenomenal. Like she helped me understand who I was. She gave me the confidence to do TikTok. So much of my business practice like comes from her and her coaching. So like you say, like in hindsight, learned so much, got so much out of it. But there were days when I was just like in tears. I mean, there's still days when I'm in tears, but I think
if you work in the music industry, you have to schedule your crying in occasionally.
And I think I've learned a lot about myself in this whole process. Like one of the big lessons I learned was I can't run this like a man. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I throughout my whole life wanted to just prove that I could do everything better than men, that I could hold my own, that I could like do everything that men can do, and actually I can do it better, and like screw you if you don't. I always wanted to prove them wrong, and I always just wanted to take up space, and I always had confidence that I could. I still believe I can, but I realised that like the system's not set up for me. The system's not set up for me to operate like that. Not just the music industry, the investment space, like all of that stuff. It's not set up for me to succeed in that space, operating with that energy. And so I have to, and I really learned this last year. I don't know why, like where it kind of came from, but like, and just going through the investment thing, because we were like going out for investment at the end of last year, and then I just felt like it was just taking me away from actually running the business. And I actually just love running the business. I love working with artists. I love seeing artists succeed. I love seeing them grow. I love seeing the business grow. Like that's what I enjoy. Going out and talking to like VC guys all day and proving to them why it's valuable when they don't really understand why it's valuable is boring.
They're just like, how quick can I get my return?
Yeah, and I don't want to build it that way. I want to build something that like is meaningful. And so I really had to learn that lesson about myself. Is like, stop trying to be a boy, be a woman, lead with like the integrity that you have, lead with the like core values that you have, which is like leading with kindness, leading in a sustainable way, making like I've been made redundant a few times in my life. I really don't want to like hire a load of people and then make them redundant 6 months later because we've like burnt through loads of money. I want to build it in a way that like in 10 years time it's there and we feel really proud of it. And that like there's loads of companies that are like extracting value and money out of artists and fans and all of that stuff out there, and I want to be someone that like adds to it.
I think sometimes people think, oh, making money, you can't make money and be a nice person, or you can't or make money quickly and you can't have longevity. And I think like we're so polarized, but when actually you can do both. You've just got to do it in the right way. And that's why
it's a bit slower.
But that's also where like leadership comes in.
Yeah.
Of like what impact are you trying to make? And you can have impact and you can make money. Yeah. But it is difficult. Yeah. But it's about finding that way forward.
Yeah. I think it's like I'm trying to lead with like empathy. I'm trying to lead where we're encouraging people that I want to bring in like creative thinkers, and I want to allow them to run with ideas. One of my biggest frustrations were like working for other people has been that like when you are someone like working on the front lines of the business and you see a gap and you see a problem, and then you go to your higher ups and you're like, well, I've got this idea that I think could be like better and make this better. And then you have to go through like a whole chain of command, and it takes like 9 months to get approval. And then it's not really approving the idea that you had in the first place. And actually the opportunity's kind of passed by then and everyone's lost energy for it. So I really want us to be like, I know everyone like bandies around like words like agile and, you know, but I really want us to be able to like, I'm really into like testing things in like quick, short bursts, getting immediate feedback, which is why like our relationship with artists and like having like really honest relationships and having really honest, like the managers that come on board to coach, like having really strong relationships with them and taking time for them is really, really important, because we're in the feedback phase, right? Like our product's janky as hell. Like it's not at all what I want it to be in the end in terms of how it operates and looks and feels and all those things.
I think one of the bravest things anyone can do if they're leading a business or they're thinking about idea is just to start. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah. Just start. Yeah. And figure it out.
Yeah. And I think and like welcoming feedback all the time. Like I do not think that I'm the best at anything. Like I'm the best. Well, I think I'm a good advocate. I think I have like tons of energy. I'm a good planner. Like I have good skills that are valuable.
Does being humble help your leadership?
Yeah, because I just don't think I'm good at everything. I know I'm not. I learned that actually. I did the MMF Accelerator program in 2019. And what I learned from that is that as a manager, you have to do, it's kind of like being a CEO. You have to do everything. You have to be like an accountant and a lawyer and an immigration expert and then a creative and a photographer and a videographer and an A&R and a, you know, all these, pitch and brand partnerships and sync and all these different things. You can't be good at everything. You cannot be good at all those things. And I learned that on the MMF Accelerator. And that's like what I try and lead with like, with Ellevate, like numbers. I have a fractional CFO. She's like killer with numbers. I'm good to a point with numbers, but like I have limitations. Even when I was at Able, I had like people around me that I want to surround people that are better at me than everything.
Always be around people where you think, I want to be that.
Yeah.
Where do you see the industry going in terms of artist management and innovation for the future?
I think like there really is like a big question around management, because I mean this is like where we saw an opportunity, right? Because when like, I mean money's never been like crazy abundant since I've been in the industry. I've been in here like 13 years now, and it's never been like, whoa, we're rich. But like with management, like say you bring on say you start working with a really early stage artist, like super fresh, like you're, I don't know, like there was one artist I started working with once. She was like in school still. Her demos were phenomenal, like this incredible vocal, never put out a record, like hadn't ever recorded anything professionally, literally from scratch. And I was like, I'm just going to develop this. I'm going to don't really care. It'll probably take like 5 years for this gets anywhere, but I'm just going to work on this and develop it. And I could afford to do that then because I'd had some other projects that were earning money, and I could just kind of invest some of my own money and take that forward. I see that being really hard now, because back then you knew if you had a good act, like you had something that was talented, you could probably develop them for a couple of years, and then you'd get a label deal.
There'd be an ROI on that, and you'd probably be
you'd get a label deal. So you'd be like, okay, like I've worked for 2 years on this, 3 years, whatever, and then I'm going to sign to deal, and I'm going to commission off in advance, and then they're going to be off touring, and then like money will start flowing from there. That doesn't happen anymore. It's so hard to get a good deal now. The labels want to see an artist that is popping and has a business and making money already, and it's all they've kind of done the work. And so I really see managers in the future, like they've built that to a point where it's making money. Like managers are like co-founders, like the artist is like a startup or a business, and they're like the artist and the manager are like co-CEOs. And or the the manager's the CEO and the artist is like the chief creative officer or whatever. And so I think that like we're gonna see like artists and managers maybe forming like JVs, or like creating projects where the manager has like equity in like the project overall rather than taking commission. I think there are managers looking at like retainers for earlier stage artists. Obviously, we're here as like a subscription, which I guess is kind of a bit similar to a retainer. We try and make it as cost effective as possible. I think there are dangers with that. I've definitely heard horror stories of like art managers, like old managers, charging like $2,000 a month for early stage artists to be a retainer. And like, that's wild to me. Like, that's too much money. And I don't see them being like, I don't know what the ROI on that is for an artist. Like, I don't think you need $2,000 worth of attention a month when you're really early stage. So I think there's just going to be different models where artist and manager are like in it from the beginning. They're in the trenches with one another and they're like co-founding this business. So that I think is very seriously being considered by a lot of managers, because managers are operating as record labels, like they're putting out the records, they're operating as like tour managers and booking agents and promoters. Like, we're doing so much. So, like, it just doesn't seem fair that we're getting, like, 20% on net, or in some cases, or gross. Or
I think it goes back to maybe what you were saying with the artist stance, and what you're trying to push is run it like a business. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you can't be creative, or that you shouldn't spend all your time, like, with the creative talents, but, like, more understanding of the business, and then run it like a business. And like you say, equity, JVs, like maybe there's a different way of structuring it.
Yeah, definitely. Overall. I think just like managers are like underpinning the whole industry. Like they really are responsible for like the next generation of superstars. And if we don't have good talent management, if we don't have managers in a position to financially develop these, like that are financially able to sustain themselves, to be able to develop the next generation of talent, then like we're not going to have like headliners, And I think that's like so important, and that managers are able to eat.
We're going to close the podcast with just giving a massive shout out to all the amazing artist managers, because I've done it once. I think that was my first start in the industry. You are wearing many hats, and just the amount of work that goes into it. Yeah. So big up yourselves. And Charlotte, thank you so much. That was so interesting. So good.
Thank you for having me.